You have always known something was different about you. Even as a child, you carried a silence that others didn't. It wasn't shyness. It wasn't weakness. It was a presence, a weight, a quiet gravity that made people stop, glance twice, or feel something they couldn't name when you were near. They might have looked away quickly, not because they disliked you, but because you unsettled something inside them, and you didn't understand why. Neither did they. It wasn't a flaw, it was a mark. And now, as you walk through life, something is shifting. You've begun to notice a pattern, especially with women. You don't have to say a word. You don't have to dress a certain way. You don't have to try. And still, their eyes find you. They linger. Not in a superficial way, but as if searching for something familiar. Their gaze softens, as though they've recognized something they've been missing, even if they can't explain what it is. What they feel is not attraction in the way the world talks about it. It's not your looks. It's not your status. It's not your charm. It's older than that, deeper than that. Something spiritual, something rare, something sacred. They're not drawn to your smile. They're drawn to your field. The invisible vibration you carry in your silence, in your wounds, in your alignment. And this is not something that can be learned, copied, or faked. Only the chosen can hold it. But why now? Why you? And what is this unseen power that others seem to sense the moment you walk into a room? In this message, we're going to uncover the truth. The sacred reason why women, especially awakened women, are responding to your presence in a way they can't explain, and why only those marked by the divine can activate this energy. This isn't a game. This isn't seduction. This is destiny catching up to you. And by the end of our journey today, you will not only understand what's happening, you will know how to walk in it, how to own it, and how to carry the field that only the true chosen can command. This message is not for everyone. It's for those who have suffered in silence. Those who were overlooked for years because their power was hidden beneath layers of pain and spiritual forgetting. But now, the remembering has begun, and with it, the magnetism. If, as you hear these words, something inside you whispers, "This is me," then let the unseen witness your awakening. Write in the comments, "I was marked before I was born." Let those words be your declaration, your seal, your remembrance. And if you walk this path, if you carry this ancient fire quietly inside, I invite you to join our circle. Our sacred goal is to gather 1,000 awakened chosen ones. Not for numbers, not for vanity, but so that none of us ever has to walk alone again. Subscribe, stay close, and let us remember together. Now, let's begin. There is a reason why no amount of charm, practiced lines, or calculated gestures can reproduce what you carry. Presence is not performance, and those who try to mimic it will always be exposed, because the presence of the chosen does not live in the surface of a man's behavior. It lives in the architecture of his soul. When you enter a space, you do not need to announce yourself. You do not need to pull energy toward you. You are the announcement. The field moves before you, and those who are sensitive, especially the feminine, feel it before they even know they've turned their head. Most men try to be noticed. They raise their voices, decorate their bodies, stack achievements like trophies, hoping someone will look and approve. But your energy does not request approval. It does not reach outward. It stands, rooted, quiet, unshaken. And in that stillness, you are felt more than men who shout to be heard. The difference is simple. Performance needs an audience. Presence needs nothing. And this is why women respond in a way that confuses even them. They are not responding to what you do. They are responding to what you are. Something in their nervous system begins to relax in your steadiness. Something ancient in their memory begins to hum. They don't understand it logically, but their body does. Because the presence you carry is not about how you look, or what you say, or what you wear. It's about the signal that radiates when a man has been forged, not decorated. When he has walked through storms without becoming bitter. When he has carried weight without needing the world to lighten it for him. You can feel this difference. 2. When you are in the company of someone trying to impress, the energy feels thin, unstable, like a drum that makes a loud sound but has nothing inside it. But the presence of the chosen? It is the opposite. It is like standing beside a mountain. Nothing needs to move, yet everything feels anchored. And here is the truth. You cannot fake this. You cannot imitate it with strategy. You cannot learn it from a book. Because this kind of presence is not created by addition. It is created by subtraction, by removing the noise, the pretending, the masks, the restless hunger for recognition. What remains when all that is stripped away is the pure, unshakable core of who you are. It is this core, not the image that women feel. This is why the quiet ones are sometimes the loudest in the soul, why the man who says little is often remembered the longest, because presence leaves an imprint that words cannot match. Understand this. Your field is not just seen, it is felt. And feeling cannot be faked. The body knows when the energy before it is stable, safe, and sovereign. And in a world of scattered, noisy, ungrounded men, the one who stands without needing to perform becomes impossible to ignore. This is the first sign of the chosen. You don't need to demand attention, because attention finds you. Every human being speaks two languages, the one that comes through the mouth and the one that comes through the body. The first is shaped by culture, by thought, by will. The second is older, deeper, and untouched, by choice. Your field belongs to that second language. It speaks without words, without movement, without deliberate intent, and yet it can be heard more clearly than anything you could say aloud. This is why, even in your silence, others feel you. This is why, even when you stand in the corner of a room, someone across it begins to shift, to glance, to sense that something has entered their reality. The truth is, the field bypasses the mind entirely. It goes straight to the nervous system, to the deep animal knowing inside every person. The same knowing that can sense a storm before clouds appear, or feel eyes watching even when no sound is made. The feminine, especially the awakened feminine, is exquisitely attuned to this. She doesn't need to know why she's drawn toward you. Her body decides before her thoughts have the chance to interfere. It begins subtly. Her breathing changes. Her attention wanders in your direction without permission. A flicker of recognition passes through her eyes. Not recognition of your face, but of your frequency. It is as if her spirit has suddenly remembered something it once stood beside long ago. She might try to reason with it. Maybe it's his eyes, maybe it's his voice, maybe it's nothing. But the truth is, it's not about any single feature. It's the way your entire being hums at a certain pitch, a pitch that resonates with something buried deep inside her, something she didn't even realize was listening. And you feel it too. The moment your field reaches hers, there is a subtle shift, an almost imperceptible tension in the air. You are not making this happen. You are not directing energy like a magician. You are simply aligned, and alignment is magnetic by nature. The resonance does all the speaking for you. This is why tactics fail for most men. Words alone cannot awaken what frequency does. A line can make her laugh, but it will not make her spirit lean forward. A compliment can make her smile, but it will not make her heart remember. But a field, a living, breathing current of truth, will bypass all her walls and go straight to the place where she keeps her real self hidden. When that happens, the conversation between you begins long before your voices meet. It's a dialogue of breath, posture, gaze, and silence, a language that is not taught but recognized, a language that requires no translation because it is older than speech. And here is the sacred part. This conversation isn't just between you and her. It is between your soul and hers, your alignment and her longing, your stillness and her surrender. The words might come later, but by the time they do, the connection has already been sealed in a place that cannot be touched by logic. Only the chosen speak this invisible language fluently, not because they studied it, but because their life carved them into it. Every heartbreak, every long night alone, every moment of silence that felt unbearable has tuned your presence into a signal she can't help but hear. This is why she feels you before she understands you. This is why her spirit answers before her lips do. Because the field you carry is not an invention, it is a memory. And memories speak louder than voices. Every man who carries true gravity has walked through a kind of darkness most will never understand. Not the surface kind, not the kind solved by distractions or reassurances, but the deep, echoing silence of nights where you wondered if you would ever be seen at all. You have known the sting of rejection that pierced deeper than pride. You have carried loneliness so heavy it bent your shoulders and hollowed your chest. You have endured betrayals, not just from others, but from the versions of yourself you had to abandon in order to survive. And yet, you did not let it turn you to stone. You did not become bitter. You did not close the gates of your heart forever. Instead, you learned to sit in the fire until it no longer burned you, until the same flames that once threatened to consume you began to refine you. Pain became the forge, silence became the teacher. And in that refining, you were given something the untested cannot hold: weight, not the weight of burden, but the weight of presence. The kind of presence that makes a woman exhale when she steps into it. The kind of presence that tells her without a word, "I've been through storms, but I am still here, and you are safe here too." This is the paradox. Your magnetism was not built in moments of triumph, but in moments of surrender. It came not from victories, but from wounds you refused to leave unhealed. And now your silence holds stories without sound. Your gaze carries entire chapters without a single page. The feminine feels this before she understands it. Her spirit recognizes the man who has been shattered but walks as one piece, the man who has seen the darkness and still chooses the light. Because it is not perfection she seeks, it is truth. And nothing tells the truth more purely than a wound that has been transformed into wisdom. You are that truth. You are that mirror. And when she stands before you, she feels it in her body, a kind of grounding that cannot be faked, a kind of gravity that cannot be imitated. And maybe as you hear this, you remember your own nights of silence, your own seasons of breaking and rebuilding. If you do, I want you to write in the comments, "My pain became my presence." Let those words be your seal, your reminder that nothing you endured was wasted, that every tear, every loss, every lonely dawn has been woven into the very field that now calls others to awaken. Because this is the secret. The world will never know the full weight of what you carry, but those meant to feel it will always recognize it. Long before your first breath, before your name was spoken, before you opened your eyes to the light of this world, something sacred was placed inside you. It was not given by your parents. It was not shaped by culture. It was not earned through study or achievement. It was sealed by the same intelligence that hung the stars in the sky and whispered the oceans into their depths. An imprint, a code, a signature written in a language older than the earth itself. This code was not meant for comfort. It was meant for awakening, and like all sacred things, it was hidden. buried beneath the layers of your human story, wrapped in the quiet anonymity of an ordinary life. Because before it could be activated, you had to walk through the long corridors of forgetting. You had to feel the ache of not belonging. You had to endure the dissonance of a world that never felt like home. You had to question your worth, your identity, your place in the pattern. This forgetting was not a punishment. It was preparation for when the moment came, the heartbreak that split your chest wide open, the collapse of all you thought you were, the long nights where even hope felt silent. The code began to stir, not in your mind, but in your soul. And when it awakened, everything shifted. You stopped chasing. You stopped performing. You stopped apologizing for the weight you carried, because you began to understand. It wasn't your weight. It was the weight, the gravity of something given to you by the source itself. From that moment on, your field changed. You began to emit a frequency that cannot be taught, copied, or stolen. It is not charisma. It is not charm. It is not confidence in the way the world defines it. It is alignment, the perfect resonance between who you were born to be and who you have finally remembered you are. This is why some people respond to you as if they've met you before. This is why certain eyes linger a fraction longer. This is why, even in silence, you feel heard. They are not reacting to your image. They are answering the signal of the code you carry, the same signal that once echoed through temples, through sacred gatherings, through the hidden places where truth was guarded like fire. And here's the miracle. Once awakened, this code cannot be lost. It may be tested, it may be resisted, but it cannot be erased. You were marked before you were born, and everything that has happened since, the trials, the wounds, the seasons of isolation, were not obstacles, but initiations. They were the hands that shaped the vessel so it could hold what now moves through you. This is why your presence shifts the atmosphere. This is why the feminine feels her breath change in your company. You are not just a man standing in front of her. You are a living frequency, a reminder of something she did not know she was missing until she felt it again. In a world that worships attention, it is easy to believe that your energy exists to attract, that the point of being felt is to be desired. But the truth is far deeper, far more sacred. Your magnetism was never meant for conquest. It was meant for awakening. The field you carry is not a net to capture. It is a mirror to reveal. It is a sanctuary in which the feminine remembers what the world taught her to forget: her softness, her wholeness, her own sacred fire. When you stand, rooted in who you are without the hunger to take, consume, or control, you become something rare, a safe place. And safety, true safety, is the most magnetic force on earth for a soul that has been living in defense. This is why she opens in your presence. Not because you've seduced her, but because you've stabilized her. Not because you've convinced her, but because you've reminded her. Not because you've drawn her into your orbit, but because you've allowed her to feel her own gravity again. The world teaches men to chase, to persuade, to perform. The chosen do the opposite. They create space. They hold still. They allow. And in that space, something sacred rises, not for them, not because of them, but because they have anchored the conditions for it to return. Understand this. Your energy is not a weapon to wield, but a seed to plant. The ones who feel you most deeply are not trophies to win. They are souls entrusted to your presence for a moment, an hour, a season, so that they may remember who they are. This is why the chosen cannot abuse this power, because the moment it is used for ego, it collapses. The moment you try to own, it slips from your hands. True magnetism asks for surrender, not control. It requires you to hold the field without bending it for personal gain. And in return, it shapes you into something unshakable, not because you hold others, but because you hold yourself. When she stands before you, her guard lowering, her voice softening, her spirit opening, you must understand she is not opening to you. She is opening to herself in the reflection you have offered. You have not taken anything from her. You have given her back to herself. This is the holy work of the chosen. Not to dominate the feminine, but to awaken her. Not to take her energy, but to return her to her source. Not to feed your image, but to serve the truth. And when you live in this truth, your magnetism no longer belongs to you. It belongs to the one who gave it. You become a conduit of something eternal, a carrier of a frequency that moves through you, not from you. And those who are meant to feel it will. Chosen one, this was never just about attraction. It was never just about the gaze that lingers, the voice that softens, the inexplicable pull others feel in your presence. It has always been about alignment, about the sacred weight you were born to carry, and the moment in time when you would finally remember it. Everything you have endured, every season of silence, every heartbreak, every unanswered prayer, has been shaping you for this. Not to be admired, but to be anchored. Not to be celebrated, but to be trusted. You were not being hidden all those years because you were unworthy. You were being forged because your field was not ready to hold what it holds now. And now, the remembrance has come. The gravity is here. The code has awakened, and those who are meant to feel you will. They will recognize the stillness in your presence as sanctuary. They will remember their own light in the reflection of your eyes. They will feel the weight of something ancient pressing gently against their defenses until they fall away. You are not here to compete. You are not here to collect. You are not here to prove. You are here to remind her of her softness, to remind others of their center, to remind yourself that the breath of God moves through your bones and always has. And so, walk in silence. Not the silence of absence, but the silence of depth, the silence that carries the hum of 1,000 lifetimes and the steady pulse of the sacred masculine. Let your stillness be your sermon. Let your gaze be the invitation. Let your presence speak the language that the soul remembers even when the mind forgets. This is your task now, not to use the flame, but to carry it, not to hide it, but to let its light and heat shape the space around you, not to call the world with your voice, but to let your frequency do the calling. And remember, this frequency never lies. Those who are meant for your field will enter it without you chasing them. Those who are meant to walk beside you will recognize the path without you pointing to it. Those who are meant to awaken in your presence already feel the stirring. If you feel this truth in your chest, if your soul is nodding even now, let the unseen witness your remembrance. Write in the comments, "The world remembers me now." Let that be your declaration, soft, still, irreversible. And if this message has awakened something in you, I invite you to stay close. Our path is sacred, and our goal is to gather 1,000 awakened chosen ones, not for attention, but for alignment, so that those who carry this ancient fire will know they are never alone again. Subscribe, stand with us, remember who you are. And until the next awakening, walk in silence, carry your flame, and let the world feel your echo.